Hey everyone, thanks for clicking on my video. This is Rocky and this review will be for episode 10 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. As this was the mid-season finale, there were quite a few things that happened. A lot of little scenes that I enjoyed, in particular the moment with May doing her piloting of the bus and moving into the clouds and giving basically the illusion that Hydra destroyed the bus. Again, May is an excellent pilot, as she, showed last season, and that continued on with this season. We haven't seen her be able to do too much with her piloting this season, so that was just a nice, continuation of last season, and still showing that she has those, crazy mad piloting skills. We had a nice, tense moment with Ward and Whitehall, as he kind of tries to figure out what's going on with Ward, and we get Raina mixed in there, and Raina at this point is kind of on Whitehall's side, which threw me off a little bit, but again, it's a means to an end for her. Again, she wants to take this diviner into the city, and we had some moments with Bobby and Hunter, where Bobby's going through and finding basically a thumb drive down in the garage, apparently belonging to Mac, and Hunter notices this, even though Bobby tries to be very smooth about it. Now, to me, it kind of looks similar to the type of thumb drive that Nick Fury gave to Captain America and Captain America 2: The Winter Soldier. So this may give evidence that Bobby and Mac were possibly working for Fury on the side to kind of keep an eye on things. That's kind of just been a rumor that's been flowing around on the internet lately. And, that may be the case. I'm not sure, but, she's definitely a good guy, and so is Mac. So I think that's probably what it is they're basically acting as Fury's eyes and ears, since, May can't really do that anymore since Coulson busted her out on that earlier in the last season. So kind of the big thing I want to talk about as far as how this episode is the moments with Skye and her father. Chloe Bennet actually really surprised me in this episode. I mean, she's always been kind of a good actress in the previous episodes, but she had to show so much range in this episode that it was crazy. I mean, she was showing anger, sadness, frustration, lonely, all these emotions, and they're completely reflected in her face and eyes and in her speaking. So she definitely blew me away. Definitely the standout of the episode for me was her portrayal of Skye. And again, with Kyle MacLachlan and her playing off each other, and you could feel the tension and the emotion in those scenes. And, Kyle MacLachlan, I mean, just at any moment, you can just picture his character snapping. I mean, he pretty much does snap in this one. And we get that confrontation between her father and Coulson. And, that was very brutal. Because, again, he was going after Whitehall because of Whitehall killed his wife, and Coulson took that away from him. So now at this point, he sees that basically that Coulson's taking his daughter away, and he took away his chance for revenge against Whitehall. So he just gets pushed over the edge at that point, and it's just kicking the crap out of Coulson. Granted, Coulson does put him in a nice triangle for a little bit, some nice MMA action there, but yeah, and then, Skye has to come out and she has to make the decision. Is she going to shoot her real father to protect Coulson, or what's going to happen? Thankfully he backs down so she doesn't have to make that choice, but, we get basically the setup that I think he's going to be essentially one of the big bads continuing on into the second half of the season after this break. And then, the really big moments all occurred down in the city. We see Mac is still alive, and it does appear that he possibly was portraying that Kree Sentry type character from the comics, but, again, it was just the city manipulating him and using him for a purpose of protecting itself. from the outsiders, the humans, basically. We did get some really good Fitz Simmons moments. Fitz is getting that confidence level back. We see that with him and his interactions with Simmons, and it felt closer to what we had last season. It's not quite there yet, but it's getting closer, and it was just very enjoyable for me, because that was one of the things, like I said, last season they kind of made most of the episodes for me, was just those moments with Fitz and Simmons. And we had Trip thrown into the mix, and unfortunately it appeared that Trip met an unfortunate end, which threw me off a little bit, as he was one of the characters that was rumored to actually is going to end up appearing in Avengers 2. It was supposed to be basically him, and I think May as well as Coulson, I think, were kind of the rumored characters that were going to cross over into the movie. So, we see, him basically get blown away, but as this is based on comic reality, something different could happen. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out in the second half. And we do get the confirmation as well as the evolution of some characters. So Skye's father basically gives his name as Cal, which seems to be, confirmation that, he's playing as Calvin, aka Mr. Hyde from the comics. This also definitely gave evidence to who Skye really is, as she's named Daisy by her father. And there were rumors going around since the last episode with her flashback memory and the dreamscape, and the fact that there was a song playing, the Daisy Daisy song, I believe it was called. And her father hums out to her as he creepily reaches out and touches her, but this basically supports that Skye is actually an interpretation of the Daisy Johnson character from the comic books. And this is especially confirmed after the experience down in the temple. So what happened in the temple scene is basically Raina went down there with the diviner, and once within a certain proximity of the center of the temple, basically the diviner went into basically auto mode. And at that point is, shortly, that's around when Skye comes in and, the temple's sealing itself off. And then the diviner goes into the middle, opens up, and we see the Terrigen Crystals. The reason it was sealing itself off is, like we see what happens with Trip. Anyone exposed to the Terrigen Crystals that is not an Inhuman typically dies. In some cases, they get altered in different ways. But in this, what they've been doing in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is basically people have been dying when exposed directly to the crystals. Of course, this didn't happen until Trip actually broke the crystals and he, got punctured by them. But we see a visual example of the terrigenesis process where it's a little bit different in the comics. They don't necessarily get cocooned in the comics. They basically walk out of the mist change. But in this case, Raina and Skye were both essentially cocooned while this process took place. And, we see the explosion of Skye's powers. As again, she's based off Daisy Johnson AKA Quake in the comics, who had the power to basically create seismic waves, essentially. So she could mimic earthquakes. In some examples in comics, she had pinpoint accuracy with it. She could, basically stop a person's heart, make it explode from the inside, just things like that. So that's basically an example of what her powers are going to be. And Raina appeared to actually physically change. And to me, it looked kind of cat-like features. And there was an Inhuman named Leonis, I believe, who had lion-like abilities as far as appearance and then strength and things like that. So they may be using that as kind of a basis for what happened with Raina. But at the core of it, what it appears is with Inhumans, the purer your bloodline is, the more you stay human after the terrigenesis process as far as appearance. So the purest, pure blood of the Inhumans, they go through the Terrigen terrigenesis process, and when they come out, they physically do not usually look different. Their powers are manifested, but they still basically, essentially for the most part, look human. In this case, Raina physically changed, so that seems to possibly imply that she came from a less pure bloodline. And that's just going off the comics. Now, what they may do is they may treat it similar to the formula that gave Captain America his powers, and that it enhances anything that's within you. So, good becomes good, evil becomes worse, kind of thing. We'll see if we get some more explanation of that in the second half of the season. Now, it was interesting that, the post-show scene showing basically another Inhuman. In this case, he had no eyes, but he had another diviner. And it was, basically going off kind of like an alert light. And, he calls someone else and says, do you see what's going on? So there are other diviners out there, which means there's going to be other Inhumans out there. Now, whether they know they're Inhumans, again, it's not stated Inhuman anywhere in the episode. So what we may be looking at is these people are the descendants of the Inhuman bloodline. And for whatever reason, whether it's family tradition or accidental, they all went through the terrigenesis process. So these characters are probably going to represent, the quote-unquote villains for the second half of the arc as well, along with Skye's father. But, maybe that they're actually trying to find these new people and try and help them. It's kind of left ambiguous with the end of it, and whether that character is necessarily looking to do harm or looking to help. Again, a lot of this we'll just have to see how it's going to play out in the second half of the season. Now, we are going to have a while to wait for the second half. Basically what's going to happen now is the show's going on break, and in early January, I believe around January 6th or so, the Agent Carter series is going to pick up, and that's going to run for, I believe, about 6 episodes, and then there's going to be another little break, and then that's when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to pick back up. So we're going to have quite a bit of a time gap between this mid-season break and then the picking up of the second half of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. series. So that gives them a lot of time to play around with some things. And like I said, I definitely think a lot of the things that are going to happen in the second half are going to tie into the Avengers 2 movie, or Avengers Age of Ultron. And again, it's going to tie into this, we're in the age of miracles. So this, again, is just Marvel's way of explaining people with powers, since they can't use mutants right now. So I definitely still think that's what Marvel's going to use this for. And, it definitely did not appear that this city is the Inhuman homeworld or home city of Dillon. It looks like it's just some type of outpost. Now, we are left with a huge cliffhanger, as, after basically the explosion of Skye's powers, the city itself is being shook apart, as well as, everything above it, pretty much. So we have, Coulson with the now, back to his senses Mac. We have, above them, we have Fitz and Simmons, going through that. And then Bobby and Hunter and May, going through, they're all together. So it's this huge cliffhanger. How are they going to get out? Are they all going to get out? Again, this is based off the Whedon universe, kind of. So anyone can die at any point in time, right? So, and, Ward, it does appear that he escapes with Agent 33, as now with, Whitehall apparently dead. She has no idea what to do. Now, we don't necessarily get confirmation that Whitehall's dead. Again, he experimented on himself based off Skye's mother's genetics. So it's completely possible that we're going to see him back as well. More than likely not, but it could happen. Because again, we don't clearly see that he's dead. And he was shot, and it seems he's dead. But, again, like I said earlier, this is based off a comic book universe. So anyone can come back at any point in time. It can definitely be written in, just like anyone can be taken out at any point in time. So, Ward's fate is kind of still left as far as his intentions. still kind of up in the air. I was thinking he was going to try and take over Hydra and possibly fill Whitehall's position, but seems like he just wants to get away. So we'll see how he's going to get back into the mix in the second half, whether he's going to go after Skye's father to, you know, help him out, because I definitely get the feeling that Raina's going to go towards Skye's father, and they're going to be kind of working together, trying to help her figure out her abilities and her place in the world now that she's definitely not going to look human anymore, is how it appears. Then likewise, Skye is going to start training up. Who's going to train her? I mean, is she going to train with the agents, or is she going to get trained by some of these Inhumans that are coming after her? I don't know. It's, you know, we're left with a lot of questions, which typically happens in a mid-season break, but we did get, you know, a lot of answers in this as well. And like I said, Chloe Bennet definitely killed it this episode of Skye. I mean, just massive range of acting, I thought. You know, the fact that she just popped off on Ward with the gun as soon as she had it, you know, shows that evolution of the character, that she's not tied to him anymore emotionally. And yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. Definitely one of the best mid-season breaks I've seen on a show in a while. Definitely massive cliffhanger we're left on. It's just, I'm kind of disappointed that we have to wait so long to see what's going to happen with the second half. But, you know, the Agent Carter series does look like it's going to be pretty good. So we'll see how that is going to play out. And I'll be doing reviews for that show once it starts up, as it's basically going to be the same Tuesday time slot that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is on right now. So let me know down in the comments below, what did you guys think about this episode, and how did you feel about the reveal of Skye being based off Daisy Johnson AKA Quake and her abilities? How do you feel about Raina physically changing? Do you think we're going to see a lot of her, or not so much, because it's probably going to be kind of expensive for her effects? But yeah, all in all, let me know what you thought about the episode and what you've thought about the season so far. As far as like giving a rating on this first half of the season, I definitely give it a solid B+. Now, the reason I haven't given like a rating on each episode is because it's hard when you don't see an arc play out each episode. You see beginning, middle for most of the season, and you typically don't see an end of an arc till around the mid-season break. So that's why I haven't really given like a specific rating on each episode. But yeah, for the first half of the season, definitely solid B+. Looking forward to the second half. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and share the video. And please subscribe to my channels. I will be, like I said, picking up with the Agent Carter series, and pick right back up with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when it comes back, as well as the other Marvel and DC television shows that are going to be popping up. If you have gone ahead and subscribed to my channel already, thank you very much. I really do appreciate you coming on board, and look forward to having some conversations with you guys down in the comments below, or, you know, over Twitter, however you want to get hold of me. Definitely do, and ask whatever questions you have. I'll be happy to give whatever information I can for you. All that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye.